On October 2025, PKP signed the contract for the renovation and modernization of Railway Line 7 between Warszawa, Wawer and Otwock. This involves rebuilding existing stations, adding several new foot and road crossings, and most importantly, adding 2 extra lines to separate commuter and intercity trains. Preparation work has already started, mainly cutting trees along the railway to make space for the 2 extra rails. The main work will not commence until March 2026. However, how do the stations and certain infrastructure look just before everything will become temporary and under construction for the next 2 years? Let's start off at Warszawa Wawer, the last station on Line 7 within Warsaw to be refurbished, reopening in September 2024. The tiling on the platforms are even and there is plenty of infrastructure within the station itself. There is an interactive digital screen showing departures, arrivals and a digital timetable. There is a canopy, which actually has been preserved from the station pre-refurbishment. There is a lift from platform to underpass, which then leads to the street, and automatic station announcements. They announce train arrivals, passing trains, and general messages such as reminding passengers not to smoke. Tactile paving can be seen all throughout the station and even leading up to the station from the road. The lift is spacious enough to fit a medium-sized bike and of course a human. The buttons are easily distinguishable, and the buttons for the levels have braille on them. The lift itself is okay, it just does its job. Also worth pointing out is that you can see the 2 extra tracks here, which separate fast intercity trains from commuter trains. The biggest problem I can notice is that there is no passenger information display showing the next departure of a train from a specific platform. Here is a similar looking station that got refurbished a few years ago, and even they have passenger information screens. There's no excuse for these kind of things, especially in 2026. Apart from that, you might think that this sounds like a very regular station, right? Wait until you see the unrefurbished stations. But first, let's look at the other infrastructure that the modernization will bring. Here is an example of a foot crossing by the means of an underpass that was built alongside the modernization of the railway. Tactile paving is present, and you can either take the stairs or go through a long ramp accessible by wheelchairs and bikes, like me. The entrance to the underpass is great. There is sufficient lighting for when it is dark, and when it is daylight there is a nice open light shelter that prevents the stairs from getting wet. The underpass itself feels safe with adequate lighting and CCTV guarding each end, hopefully deterring any unwanted behaviour. Here is a look at what the 4-track arrangement looks like from the road. Keep in mind that there are no trees at all. At the next station, Warszawa Anin, you can see where the 2 additional tracks end for now. There are crossovers a bit further ahead where intercity trains come in and out of the segregated lines. Now, I'll admit, this is a horrible station to compare Warszawa Wawer with, but it goes to show how run down some of the stations in this line have become. If you've watched my previous video, please watch that too. You will know my hatred with this station. To sum it up, the only facilities that this station has are benches, a few bins, and a literal bus stop shelter. That's it. There isn't even one CCTV camera. The only entrance to this station is through a narrow passage thanks to this now abandoned building, and a steep ramp with an uneven surface. Yup, only one entrance because on the other side there is nothing. But of course that doesn't stop people from jumping down and crossing the tracks, which is something you should not do. In between stations we can now begin to see the cut down trees. And we've made it to our next station, Warszawa Międzylesie. This station is actually different to the other stations in this section of the line, as it has already been partially modernized. I say partially because the platforms look the same as the rest of the stations. An old-fashioned winged canopy sheltering the platforms, these lovely signs telling the direction of travel, which I really hope get preserved, a few bins and a disused waiting room. Most of the stations on the line are designed like this. However, what makes this station modern is the removal of foot and road crossings. Where this roundabout is, a road crossing was present. However, between October 2014 and October 2016, major renovation works took place to construct a road tunnel underneath, which significantly changed the road layout of the area. Thanks to this, pedestrian access for the less able has been made easier and safer. There are lifts on the street which take you down to a pedestrian subway, linking the station with the roads either side of the railway. The eastern side has a lift and stairs, while the western side has a long ramp. A lift can be used to access the station, and a small part of the station has a nice even surface. The southern entrance of the station still has the original ramp and foot crossing. While we cycle along this annoyingly bumpy pavement, we can see how the line currently looks with 2 tracks compared to 4. And we can now see what the current foot crossings between stations look like. Simple and plain, but also dangerous. We can also get a view of where the additional 2 tracks could go. Here is our next station on the line, Warszawa Radość. Something worth mentioning is that this station has, what looks to be, original bench seating underneath the winged canopy. The only station in this section of the line to have such a thing. What this station also has is a road crossing, planned to be removed as part of the modernization project. Road crossings like this are dangerous, as traffic can cause cars to wait on the tracks. In relation to traffic, serious congestion can be caused because of the level crossing, where cars, lorries and buses could wait up to 5 minutes. This is one of 4 road crossings that are getting replaced. All except one will be replaced with a road tunnel. I'll give more detail on the exception when we get to it. Warszawa Miedzeszyn station is nothing important. However, this is another example where part of the infrastructure has been modernized, yet it had nothing to do with the railway. Around this point, there was a level crossing at this site, which got removed at some point between November 2020 and April 2021. However, there is no road tunnel here, so what replaced it? The S2 motorway nearby. Since this is an exit point for the motorway, loops have been built so that people can exit and enter the motorway, of course, but also so people can cross the railway. A nice pedestrian path has been built on the northern end of the interchange, which is thoughtful. However, I'd assume more people are using the foot crossing at the station, which will eventually become a subway. Moving on, we get to Warszawa Falenica, the last station in Warsaw. This station differs from the others as this has an additional track which can be used for terminating trains. It also has a subway connecting the platforms towards Otwock to street level. However, it does not connect to the platform towards Warsaw, which means you have to walk out of the subway to the street and onto the platforms. The subway itself feels more dingy and feels less secure with dimmer lights and no CCTV. Accessibility wise, there are ramps at the southern entrance of each platform. The platforms towards Otwock have a much narrower ramp though due to the 3rd track. Whether a wheelchair could fit here easily, I'm not sure. What is not unique to this station is the wear and tear. As standard with these unrefurbished stations, the platforms are uneven, but even more concerning is that the ceiling of the wind canopy is chipping away and there are walls with cracks in them. The overall condition of this station is very poor, and kind of sad to see what could have been a really beautiful station fall into such neglect. Falenica is another station with a level crossing that is due to be replaced with a tunnel. For our next stations, Michalin and Józefów, nothing special differs from both of them, as they feature the same station building and have a level crossing. However, what will differ from them is how they will be replaced. At Józefów, the standard will happen, meaning a new road tunnel will be constructed. However, at Michalin, there won't be a tunnel, but rather a viaduct. This is planned to be built at the border between Warsaw and Michalin, since there isn't enough space for either a tunnel or a viaduct where the location of the current level crossing is. And we have made it to our last station, Otwock Świder. This station is a little more run down, similar to Warszawa Falenica. The roof is chipping a lot, there are uneven surfaces and for some reason different surface types, and the waiting room has definitely seen better days. Otwock Świder is another station where we can see the infrastructure change abruptly, where the line beyond has been modernized in 2021. You can see the effects of the renovation through these speed signs. On the renovated line, the speed limit is 120 km an hour, but on our section, it is only 80. This can be easily seen through this intercity train trundling at a comically average speed. Another thing to point out is the lack of accessibility on the southern entrance of this station thanks to these two steps. So, that sums up the current state of the railway line. But, what is expected to happen over the next upcoming months and years? For now, preparation work is underway. The main bit will happen in March this year, where the line will be closed for 2 weeks to build temporary switches, as the line will be running on a single track for a while. Afterwards, construction for the road tunnels, underpasses and the viaduct will commence, as well as demolishing the original stations. By mid to late 2028, a fully revamped line with 4 tracks, modern stations and ETCS functionality for better signalling and quicker services will be open for the public. Here's a quick diagram of how the new stations would look like. Things worth mentioning is that the new track layout will place the slow lines in the middle rather than the slow lines on the right like in Warszawa Wawer, so it will be interesting to see how that will look. Here is another picture specifically going into detail about how Warszawa Anin would look after the upgrade, because oh boy, we need to know how much better it will look. We can see a newly paved platform with tactile paving and a much safer yellow line as it is a further distance away from the platform edge. A new station canopy will be built to thankfully replace those horrid bus stop shelters, and additional features such as better passenger information and more bins will be added. So that's all you need to know to be up to date with the renovation with Line 7 between Warszawa Wawer and Otwock. I'll make more videos as the progress of this renovation continues. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.